When politicians want to scare you about taxes, what they normally do is they present the really big number and then they leave out all the small details. So whenever they come to you and they say, oh, this is 200 and some $1 million that I'm going to be saving you or putting back into your pockets by getting rid of that tax out of your community, what you need to understand is what really is happening. And I think best way of showing you this is giving you a little lesson on what mass wealth accumulation really looks like. And to do that, I'm going to do it through the mass market production of manufacturing, because it follows that same philosophy. The philosophy of mass wealth accumulation is that small sums over a large population adds up to tremendous wealth, massive wealth, when it's funneled to a single source. And that's how our taxes work. So to give you that idea of it, I'm going to give you a little lesson on mass market manufacturing and what it looks like in cost comparisons. And we're going to take the haute couture fashion designer as an example. In this, and please just, I can't I can't write really well on a board, so you just have to deal with my chicken scratch. But a couture fashion designer can charge $50,000 for a single gown. And you're like, wow, that's really expensive. And their clientele is very elite and very rich, and it will take about a month in order to create that gown. So $50,000, 1 month output, and that means $50,000 at the end of the month. What that looks like on a mass production scale, you have your haute couture designer here, and then you have your brand designer here. A brand designer is somebody who creates a brand or a design and gives it to a manufacturing company, and then they will take that one single design and then they'll pattern it up and down in sizes so that that one garment style is then created for all the different sizes. And then they can take that design, and then they can put it into their computer system, and then their industrial machines can cut 1,000 gowns in 1 moment. So where the couture designer has to cut out each piece individually for one gown, the industrial manufacturer can cut out all the pieces at one time on the industrial machines. So we're going to say 1,000 is the product output for the day. So then they take those cutout pieces, they'll bundle them together, and then they'll send it up to the factory where a lot of hands are then putting the pieces together. And so at the end of the day, they have 1,000 products, where the couture designer takes a month to create one. So there is a little bit of the time difference between a mass production manufacturer and a couture by hand custom designer. And what it looks like on cost-wise, so we said $50,000 a month is what the couture designer ends up with, a very expensive gown that very few people can afford to pay. The mass market brand designer can take their product, and the cost to produce the product for the manufacturing company will be about $3 per gown. They then take a wholesale cost, so they'll take an upgrade, they'll take that cost and then do a markup from that to get the wholesale price. And for this, I decided to go with $30. And then they take the wholesale price, and then the store, whoever they sell it to, will then apply their own markup to the price, and that's what the consumer ends up paying. So for a $3 item cost, the consumer ends up paying $300 price. Wonderful profit margins. A $3 garment cost turns out $300. So at the end of the 1,000 products, if you're able to sell those 1,000 products in one day, if you're able to sell everything that you produce in one day, you can make a potential profit of $300,000 in one day. By the end of the month, you're at a $9 million profit. Whereas the couture designer who takes a month to make one is only at $50,000. The difference between mass market production wealth and a single wealth is huge. And that's what you have to understand when it comes to taxes. This is your mass production tax, and this is your out of pocket. So for somebody to say, hey, I'm going to take away your mass market production accumulation of your funds, and I'm going to put more money into your pocket, what they then are telling you is that you then have to produce out of your own pocket the money to cover any of the services that those taxes once paid for. And I often use the example of public school funding because that is the thing that is currently being it's getting gutted. And it's this idea that teachers are indoctrinating their students and all this other crap that they're trying to push in order to reduce the education access for everybody, making education only available to those who can afford it. So I thought the best way of doing taxes is to show you what education is going to look like when more money is in your pockets and less money is in your tax system. So we understand the difference between a $50,000 gown that one person one couture company creates, everything by hand, everything beautifully done, takes the whole month, $50,000. Mass market production in that month makes $9 million. So what does that look like for taxes? Well, taking a 250,000 population, which is about one county of taxpayers. So you have 250,000 people who are taxpayers in your county. If they each pay $1.68 a week. Now, what is that in days? 24 cents a day. What is that by hour? A penny an hour. So if everybody pays 24 cents a day, a penny an hour, or $1.68 a week, at the end of the year, 1 year, that community creates 2,850,000 for a $1.68 a week contribution of you and everybody else in your county. You can create a massive sum of $2,850,000. And when that $2,850,000 is then put into a distribution resource designed around a community need, such as public school, everyone in your community who has kids from kindergarten to 12th grade can afford to go to school on $1.68 a week. Contribution of everybody in that community. Okay, so this process with taxes lets your kids all go to school. And the benefit of that is that when the kids are able to go to public school, they then have an opportunity of education. And when they get older as adults, by investing in the kids today, you're going to be investing in your future leaders, innovators, and inventors. So it's really good for a community to invest money into the kids now so that that community then profits from that investment when the kids become adults. The adverse will happen if you choose not to invest in kids now, because when they become adults, not having those educational opportunities of being able to be a leader, an innovator, an inventor, you will reap the hardship of that not investment. And so you're going to have an economic impact by not investing in the kids now. So that's how money works. If you invest now, you're going to reap something later. Investment today creates investment later on. Non-investment in today is going to create economic hardship later on. Money isn't magic. You can't create money out of nothing. So money has to go somewhere. And if you look at government as a mathematical distribution problem, a distribution of money or sums rather than any kind of emotional thing, then you start really understanding that taxes are more of a crowdfunding tool of the community that allows us to be able to put together $1.68 a week per person, and then put that into a sum, and then use that money in order to meet a need of the community. Now, what does it look like when this is gone, when we remove this? Well, taking the Virginia Department of Labor's at cost per kid. I think they said something about 11,024. And I'm doing this figure as year-round school. So 11,024 is the cost per kid. And we can call that our $3 cost of our garment up here. That's the at cost price. Nothing fancy, no supplies, no none of the books or the clothing that you have to purchase, none of the food you have to purchase. That's just strictly education access, 11,024 per kid. What does that price look like per parent? Well, when you take 11,024 and you break it down per week, it's $212 per week. $212 is actually what I pay right now for a 3-year-old. And so when I look at education, I'm looking at the public school system when she goes into education as not being in existence in a few years. And so that $212 a week, even though I'm paying it now for her daycare, is probably a cost I'm going to have to pay every single day, every single week from the time that she's in kindergarten to 12th grade. That's massive amount of money. We're going to be talking scholarships to send our kids to elementary and high school. I don't even think college is going to be an option. And for parents who have more than one kid, it's going to be a tremendous burden. What is it you're going to have to work in order to afford $212 per kid per week? Can you afford it? Because I don't think a lot of parents are going to be able to afford $212 per week per kid. And so we might even be in a situation going back to the beginning of the Industrial Revolution is when parents have to decide, okay, which kid is going to go into academics and which kid is going to work in the factory? Which kid goes to school? Which kid goes into the factory? And parents who can't afford to send their kids to school at all, who cannot afford to absorb a $212 a week cost, and this is at cost. So if we take a standard 300% markup, which is normal retail rate, if we take a $212 times 300%, oh good Lord, I am not a mathematician, but take the $212 times a 300% markup and then determine what that price is going to be. It's going to be much higher. So $212 times 3, is $636 per week. And that's the retail price. And even if you have a voucher, and we can look at the voucher system as the HUD, it's going to be pretty much similar. So if we even have a voucher, if it's $636 a week, and we go by a voucher system, and the voucher system then uses our taxes, but it's a for-profit education system. What that means is our taxes are then given to the for-profit system to address the cost. So it's basically $636 a week. Our taxes will cover a voucher, and then we'll still be responsible for that $212 a week cost remainder. So the school system will profit 2 times. They'll profit from the taxpayer, so you'll pay the school as a taxpayer, and then you'll pay the school as a parent. That is a double profit for a system that's supposed to be designed helping the parents in the community and not really helping us at all. Is able to profit off of the parent at $212 a week, and by raising the price $636 retail rate, they are profiting again off the taxpayer. And this is actually what's happening with the HUD system. By the the landlords charging a free market value rent of a city, they are actually profiting off the taxpayer and then making the residents pay the remainder. So it would be like going to a store, and we see this in grocery stores all the time, where there's they jack the price up to $4 where it used to be $2, and then they say, hey, if you buy 3, you get 1 free. Where really you're going to be paying, I think, full price for 1, but it looks like you bought a lot. It's these different things where they can jack up the price and make you pay, but make you look like you're getting more. And I'm sorry, not 3, 2 for 1. So, where it was $2, they say $4. And if you buy 2, you get 1 free. You're actually paying full price for the 1, but you're getting 2. There's all these little tricks that you can do in commerce and in marketing, especially, to make people actually buy more, thinking that they're getting a bargain. And they're actually, the whole point is to sell more products. And in commerce, if you don't sell your products, if those gowns don't sell, then they take up valuable real estate and shelf space, and that can actually eat your profits. So you have to unload it really quick, or else that unsold inventory could destroy you. So that's your lesson on mass market production and the difference in cost. And I'll just go over it again with the taxes. So 250,000 county taxpayers with $1.68 a week expense per person, which is, like I said, 24 cents a day. And you can't even get a soda in a vending machine. I'm at the library right now, and I think the sodas are $1.25. So for the little, and I'm actually, it might even be $2 now. I haven't bought one of those in a while, but I think it's $2 now. So for the price of less than a soda, you can afford to send your kids in your community, in your county, to school, versus making a parent pay $2.12 a week per kid, which they can't afford. And so by investing in your kids now, you're going to be reaping the benefit of leaders, innovators, inventors later on. So when politicians tell you that we're going to cut these taxes, we're going to do $1 million tax cut, and that's going to give you more money in your pocket, well, I'm sorry to say that more money in your pocket is not going to pay for the amount necessary to send your kids to school. You're going to have to work 2 or 3 jobs to send 1 or 2 or 3 kids to school in your family. So it really doesn't help you. Taxes are crowdfunding of a community. And when we take our small sums and we join it together into one massive sum, and then we put that into a distribution system that's designed around the need of a community, everybody benefits. Now, I've heard the arguments that people say, well, there's abuse and things like that. Well, that's why you, as the individual, needs to learn your laws. You need to learn your conflict of interest laws. You need to learn your ordinances, which are your county or city laws. You need to learn your codes, which are your state laws. And when you know your laws, you can then understand when people are breaking them or cheating. And that's something I learned the hard way. When I didn't know the rules, I didn't know people were cheating me. And so people got away with a lot of things and exploiting because I didn't know the rules. It wasn't until I went and learned the rules that I realized, oh my goodness, they couldn't have gone away with this if I knew the rules. So when you know your laws, then you can prevent abuse of those laws, because the First Amendment gives you the right as the individual to ask your judicial branch investigative agencies to investigate abuse when you see it. And that's the beautiful thing about our country. But if we don't know our laws, and if we allow politicians to sell us on these marketing slogans where it's more money in your pocket, you don't need all these taxes, we need to give corporations a lot more control, we're going to hurt ourselves in the long run. Instead of having our taxes benefit us the way it was designed, we're going to end up with a lot more out-of-pocket costs where we won't be able to afford the things that we took for granted anymore, especially with public school education. So let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer for you, and we'll keep giving you these not so fancy videos, but very effective and important and informative videos, because we're not fancy. We're just smart.